Calling to order the Wheeling Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, March 13th, 2014. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary Pro Tem, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Dorband,
I'm here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Powers.
Here.
Commissioner Rufato is absent with prior notice. Commissioner Schaaf is absent with prior notice. I am Commissioner Stylen. I'm present. Commissioner Zangara.
I'm here.
That's 5 present with 2 absent, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings, any changes to the agenda?
We do have a few changes this evening. Item C and D under items for review are both postponed. Item D, which is the village docket, is a public hearing. We will not be opening that. We'll open it next week. The other item will be I guess not tabled because they didn't open it, but will be heard at a future meeting, probably in April. So we're working with the petitioner right now for a specific date. We have an additional item for discussion under 9 other business. The potential lessee of a unit is here to discuss the proposed restaurant, which will be the subject of a special use petition, likely for April 10th. So I'll explain that when we get to it.
Thank you. Citizen concerns and comments. If we have anybody here that would like to speak about anything? I think not. So we'll move on to consent items. Docket number SCBA 14-5, MSI 116 McHenry Road, appearance approval of a wall sign. Mr. Jennings?
We have just one consent agenda item tonight. I did not receive any questions on it, so we would entertain a motion at this point.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Powers, seconded by Commissioner Dorband. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Dorband,
Yes.
Commissioner Powers.
Yes.
Commissioner Stylen says yes. Commissioner Zangara.
Yes.
And Commissioners Rufato and Schaaf are absent. Acting Chairman Pro Tem Johnson, former
Yes.
Secretary.
Yes. Items for review. Do we have the petitioners for item A?
Cedar Run Clubhouse?
Okay, calling docket number PC 14-3, Cedar Run Clubhouse, minor site plan and appearance approval for a building addition. Please
If you could come
step
forward,
up.
please.
For the record, could you give your name and business address to the secretary?
I'm Luigi Randazzo. Yeah,
Nope.
L-U-I-G-I-R-A, and last name is R-A-N-D-A-Z-Z-O.
Mr. Jennings?
Petitioner is requesting minor site plan and appearance approval of an addition to the clubhouse at Cedar Run. You see here the existing conditions of the building. The petitioner is proposing to enclose the deck area adjacent to the pool, the second level, with a unconditioned space that would be under roof. However, it would not be air conditioner heated. It's seen as a seasonal space to serve the clubhouse functions, mainly the pool area. Petitioner is proposing 2 overhead doors to ventilate the space. And petitioner is present if you have any questions. Oh, just one additional staff comment. The fire department memo, which was referenced in the staff report, was not actually attached to the staff report. We did ultimately contact the petitioner and make sure that they were aware of what the memo said. The primary issue on this is that the building addition does trigger a requirement for installation of a sprinkler. We just wanted to make sure that the Plan Commission had this copy of the memo, and that the petitioner had that knowledge as well before we entertained a vote. The floor is yours. If you have any additional comments, go ahead.
So for the fire protection sprinkler system, is that for the main building and also the proposed addition all throughout?
My understanding is that the addition triggers a retrofit requirement for the building, yes.
Okay. That's the only question I have.
Any additional comments that you'd like to present to the commission before they ask questions?
I mean, your overview pretty much covered what the homeowners association at Cedar Run is looking to do, just to give a little additional square footage to the residents there. I'm sure you are all familiar with Cedar Run. It's about a 400-unit development, and this is the first building right when you turn into the development. So I think, this addition would give them just more usable space as a public community area. And the intent is for the addition to match the existing building as closely as possible, to continue the siding, the same roof pitch, et cetera. So.
Before we get into the questions from the commission, if you could just pull the microphone up, it'll pick you up a little bit better. There was one question in the staff report regarding the siding. There's a couple of different siding materials. Is there a decision from the homeowners association as to which siding would be carried over on this level?
I think the intent was to match the second floor where it switches to the vertical siding.
So this vertical here?
Yes.
Okay. And that's all I had.
Okay, we'll start with Commissioner Dorband.
Thank you. Okay, I guess one of the questions has already been asked answered that I was going to ask about the coloring of the siding. And the other issue is in the staff report, they're saying, talking about the window and door colors. Can you address that?
Sure. So the intent of the project is to match the existing building, so it will follow with the white trim.
I do have another question, and it's somewhat related to it, but it's not. I happen to live in a neighboring community, or right next door, actually. And as I walk my dog, a lot of people who live in there walk their dog also along McHenry. And they know I'm a plan commissioner. They've asked me and I told them I can't answer that question, of course, but they want to know why the pool was shut down. Are you going to open the pool again?
I am not sure. I can't answer on that. I am an owner's representative, and our focus has mainly been on that second floor addition. I haven't discussed the pool with them.
Yeah, a number of people have stopped me and asked me about that, so they've been very upset that the pool has been closed, and it appears that they have their questions and their concerns have fallen on deaf ears. So I'm asking you that publicly. So if you could check into that, I appreciate it. So you do understand that you'll have to sprinkle the whole building, including the addition, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And did you bring any color samples with you of the addition at all so that how are we going to know that you're going to match those colors? I guess that's a good question for staff as well.
So, no, I did not bring any material samples.
Andrew, how do we address that?
I believe that this building was among the re-sided buildings at this development. If that's the case, it should be relatively easy to match. The same material is probably likely readily available.
So should we make that a condition that it must match?
Right now,
Or
I've got
close as it can?
I do have the two conditions. One, that the exterior of the addition match the second floor siding of the existing building, and then that the trim match the building trim as well.
I did read some of the uses that you plan on using this for. Is it mainly going to be used for the people that are living there for entertainment purposes? Are you using this for an office space? I'm,
It's mainly going to be a multi-purpose area for the community. I don't believe any of the side additional rooms in the main building are used as offices.
okay,
So,
okay. I think that's all my questions for now. Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Zangara.
Okay. My biggest concern or question that I've been going around and around with is these garage doors. They look like they're built into a window system. How are you preventing, like, I mean, I know a garage door, it seals up. How does that seal up with a window system? I mean, if I have a suggestion, why can't you're putting a railing in front of there, I see. Can't you make those just full doors that have the railing and so they could open up the doors and make those, or sliding windows or something to open it up? The garage door thing I just have a weird feeling about the garage door.
So the garage door was mainly coming from the owner. They were kind of going for maybe sort of industrial, maybe a little slightly modern look on top of this traditional setting. That's where that came from. We proposed sliding glass doors or bifold glass doors that open up as you're suggesting. Right now, we're sticking with what the owner was leaning towards.
Because it will be weird, especially I know with the sprinkler code, you're going to have to sprinkle above it and you're going to have heads below it, because if it's open, you got to have
open.
heads below that too. So it's going to throw some funky designs in there.
Now that we know about the fire protection requirement, we're going to be rethinking some items, I think, so I'll definitely bring that up.
Okay, and then with that railing color, because I see on the existing picture, we have white,
Right in front of this railing.
white in the front, and then I guess the roof deck area has brown painted. So if you go with the garage door or whatever, and you have a railing there, I would like it to match the white so it stays consistent all the way through.
Right, and that's what we were thinking.
Yeah, on that picture, there's the white and brown. I'd like to, see it all consistent.
Yeah, that, obviously, the brown is going to be demoed out.
Right.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I said, I'm just really concerned about those garage doors just because, how you seal them up and that. So
Okay,
just to take a look back at that.
okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Pro Tem. You're also going to match the shingles too, in addition to what's currently on the existing?
That's correct.
Okay. Says something about aluminum-clad windows and overhead glass doors are proposed. I guess I was questioning, why was this mentioned in the report? Why do we have that in there? I saw mention, it says aluminum-clad doors, natural daylighting, and overhead glass doors, maximum ventilation are proposed. I mean, is that just a statement, that's what they're going with as far as material in that building?
Sure, I think it was just to note, more so than anything, that the overhead door is a glass door, and that it is an overhead door. It is a somewhat unique feature, so
Okay.
just pointing out that that's the reason the
Okay.
railing is there as well.
I don't have anything further.
Commissioner Stylin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I have a little bit of a problem with that garage door concept. I'd really like to see, a depiction of what it's actually going to look like on the building itself. If you look at you've got the right side and the left side of the building, and I would I would like you to try and match the windows and door structures of the new addition with the windows and door structures of the old addition, or old part, for consistency purposes. And it just seems like the new stuff is going to be very different, although I can't really get a good impression of what the garage door on the outside is going to look like. Personally, I think on the inside, you'd be better off without having something overhead that, but, you know, I would just like to see the outside be a little bit more consistent. You've got, you know, folding doors on the top and the bottom of the old building. I'd like to see that style carried forward to where this garage door thing is. And the new windows that you're adding, I couldn't tell if those are the double pane style or just a single pane frame style. You know, I just like it to be consistent. The guardrail, from the little picture, I couldn't get very much detail, but if it were in character with this existing rail structure, the white, I think, was mentioned, you know, carry that rail structure just over to the new part of the building. And then I have a question about the use, the existing deck area that is currently being used for activities. Do you know? Do they have chairs and seating up there in the?
I believe they do, yeah. They use that as an outdoor deck patio when the weather permits. And so they would get additional use with that extra enclosure.
Okay, because if it's currently used, then it must be already included in any of our parking calculations, so this new addition would not add any additional parking
No, I don't think that.
requirements in the area.
No.
Okay, other than that requested change to the door, Mr. Chairman, that's my only comment.
Thank you. Well, I am in agreement with the other commissioners on the garage doors being a problem. I just don't know how that's going to look, and I would like to see it match the existing. And to Commissioner Zangara's point, if those doors are open, it adds sprinkler problems.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's my understanding that this room is not air conditioned or heated. It's just
Right,
a
unconditional.
fair weather room.
Right.
So the purpose of the garage doors was just to try and provide more ventilation.
That's correct, but I could see where, you know, double doors or a sliding could provide the same effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the roof deck floor currently?
The structure?
Well,
Or-
what's the actual deck? Is it like asphalt,
No, it's a wood deck.
wood deck?
Yeah.
And are you planning to do anything with that differently when you put walls and a roof on it?
We were thinking of having a wood deck there again, just within an enclosure.
Okay. And so we talked about the siding. Well, depending on what you end up doing with the overhead doors or sliding doors or whatever, the question about the railing, I guess, is still up in the air then. I agree it should match what you already have there, if possible.
Okay.
But we don't really know what everything's going to look like now. So
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could I make a motion to table? Because I think we have a lot of stuff, the sprinkler system and how that's going to be affected, the doors and stuff like that. Maybe some of the materials, the colors, like we can get, like Commissioner Norman said, samples. I think there's some outstanding stuff, and I think even the petitioner said, depending on the door and the sprinkler system, that could affect stuff inside. So I would like to make a motion to table.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to table this docket. Do we need a specific date?
Not on the non-public hearing item. You can take a voice vote on a table. It was seconded.
Okay. We have a motion to table this to a future date. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I believe that was unanimous.
So the next step would be to contact the homeowner association. I believe the president is leading the project. We can review this with you. I'll go ahead and print this for you so you can see. But the questions would be for the next meeting, confirm that the overhead door system is possible, discuss those concerns with the HOA.
Sure.
And see if they would go back to a door more similar to the existing doors, still keeping the Juliet balcony if that's and then just confirming the materials are still readily available for the siding.
And you'll probably want to get an estimate on what it's going to cost to sprinkler that entire building.
And Andrew, could we possibly add, are you going to give them one of our handouts to take
A handout?
back? Because I think we probably ought to put in a condition of the vertical siding and a condition that the guardrail.
I'm gonna go ahead and print this for him, and so he can take it back to the HOA. Just take it with him. This table, there's no decision, no final decision yet.
All right, so we'll have something for you to take
And then you
back.
can be in touch, with us about scheduling the next meeting based on the
Okay.
results of the discussion with the HOA, okay?
Okay,
All right?
great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Does the sprinkler need to be a special kind, not to freeze? I don't know, it just seems.
Okay, calling docket number PC 14-5, Saranello's Banquets, 601 North Milwaukee Avenue, site plan modifications to a restaurant special use. Is the petitioner present?
Petitioner is here. Saranello's Banquets is in front of you for a recommendation in this case. The plan in front of you for review would be ultimately forwarded to the village board. The intent of that is to modify the existing special use for this space. This space was approved, as you probably recall, as Tremonto Steak and Seafood. That special use is still valid. It is still the legislation in effect for this location. Saranello's, as you know, it occupies the space next door and approached the village with a request to modify the space, the subject space, primarily for use as a banquet area. That work has been completed. We do have pictures here. I can run through them as the petitioner is speaking. But the banquet definition by our zoning code is a slightly different definition. So it is our staff determination that the special use for Tremontos should be replaced with a new one. While a public hearing isn't required for that action, a recommendation by the Plan Commission just to clean up the legislation and more accurately reflect the nature of this, the use of this space is required. So with that, I'd like to pass it off to the petitioner.
Can you give your name and business address to the secretary?
Sure. Mark Tornby, Tornby, 601 North Milwaukee.
Okay. Where would you like to start? Andrew's got all kinds of
Do you have any
pictures.
additional comments? I have the pictures and the floor plan, so if you want.
Well, it
if you-
really, if you remember the old Tremonto space, the upstairs, which included a lounge and a private room and restrooms, that configuration has not changed whatsoever. Downstairs, the front bar configuration has not changed whatsoever, nor anything outside the building. The only change was to dismantle the front exposed kitchen right there and turn it into a part of the large, what we're calling the grand salon or the larger room, really to make that room a bigger space. We still have obviously an operating kitchen right behind that wall, which is more than sufficient for the private party demands.
And this is the second floor space that he was just speaking of.
We tried to, in the remodel, we added a new carpet, we added some additional AV, we added some draperies, we added some wood to the walls, but the structural walls, the space configuration, other than that kitchen change, which was about 10 feet in depth, we really made no changes.
I think that may be the end of the pictures we had. With that, I would leave it open to the commission for questions.
Okay, we'll start at the other end. Commissioner Powers.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Commissioner Stylen.
Is the dance floor still going to be in existence, or does that go away?
It's a portable dance floor,
So it's,
so that if somebody
Depending
wants
upon
one
the
for a
event.
party, we've got it. If not, it goes away.
Andrew, is there any change to the maximum seating occupancy of the building that would require a change to the parking calculations?
Not to the parking calculations. There is the PUD has a parking calculation based on square footage, and square footage is unchanged in this case. Actually, we may have ultimately reduced the square footage because I think the second floor open space may have been double counted, and when in fact there's no floor there above the main room, so we may have actually reduced square footage. But for the purposes of the PUD, there's no change in the parking requirement. We did ask the petitioner's architect to provide the maximum configuration, the maximum capacity configuration, and that's what you have for your review here is the configuration that maximizes seating capacity for the space. I don't know if this has occurred yet. I think most of the events have been with the lower capacity, but the dance floor area and the stage area account for a large percentage of that room. So the way the floor plan is drawn is to show flexibility for multiple configurations.
And I did have another question, but I can't remember what it was, so I'll save it for later.
Commissioner Zangara.
I really had nothing. I had the same question with the occupancy, but it was just answered. I think it's a great use of this space, to be honest with you, because locals, businesses around here, to utilize it. So I think it's a really good opportunity, and I hope it does well.
Thank you. We do too.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Doorman.
I have nothing, thank you.
And I have nothing.
And I did remember my question.
Okay.
Do the hours of operation change at all because of your change of business type?
The hours for it's open when there's a function. So when it was Tremonto's, it had like a set schedule. It was open Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, we're open. If somebody wants to have a breakfast, they could have a breakfast. Somebody wants to have a dinner, they could have a dinner. If we don't have a function, it's empty.
Do we have to specify hours of operation if they're different from, I imagine the old hours of operation were probably 8 till 1 or 2 p.m., whatever the liquor license.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would obviously maintain whatever that cutoff is. I mean, I think you guys are 2 or 3. We're gone long before then, so.
You can certainly, at this point, include just sort of an informative condition of approval, specifically expanding the hours to include breakfast hours if they were previously omitted. I think that would make sense, just so that we have the reminder as this goes to the board to just double check the ordinance. Really more for us than for them.
Okay. I'd like to add that condition then to. And that the closing time will probably not change, correct? If it does, you'll have to let Andrew know before it goes to the board meeting.
Sure.
I believe the previous restaurant space had the maximum hours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So do we have conditions?
You have 2 conditions now. The first one, first floor dining area. Floor plan may be modified depending on the needs of a specific event, including a dance floor and stage, provided that the maximum capacity of the room does not seat 194 guests. Number 2, the hours of operation may be expanded to include breakfast hours.
That 194, is that total, the 2 floors?
That is
or
just the first floor.
Does that need to be clarified, or?
Let's see. The first floor dining area floor plan may be modified depending, I think the second floor plan, I think we had fewer questions about how to arrange it, but the first floor will be shifted around as needed, stage added, taken away.
Do we need a maximum on the upper floor?
The upper floor maximum, I think, is straight out of the code, and I don't think there was any issue. The occupancy is shown on all the plans, so I think that would be okay.
Okay. In that case, do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Second.
Oh, we got a second already. You're a third. Motion was made by Commissioner Steilen, seconded by Commissioner Zangara. Mr. Secretary.
I'm Commissioner Stahlen. I vote yes. Commissioner Zangara.
I vote yes.
Commissioner Powers.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorband.
Yes.
5 yes and 2 absent still.
Okay, we'll put together the ordinance for the board to review. We will also talk with the manager's office to make sure that the liquor license updates that we're working on will be concurrent, so you don't have to come to 2 different meetings.
Okay.
And we do have a copy of this for you to take with you and sign.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we open Northgate Crossing yet? It is? Okay, so I don't need to read any of.
All right, since our other 2 dockets are postponed, we have approval of minutes from February 27th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Other business. Start with Mr. Jennings, because I think he has some.
We'll stay at the same address, basically, for this. We had, many of the commissioners are aware of this already. The new owner of the Outlot building, which is currently being renovated to accommodate Spears Bourbon, the new owner of that building in December brought concept review to the village board for two restaurants that would fill smaller units north of Spears Bourbon. It was a Subway and a Dunkin' Donuts. Plan Commission, on seeing the concept review with the board, requested that when the franchisees for both of those particular tenant spaces were announced, that a concept review come to the Plan Commission. We have here tonight Mr. Bhavik Patel, who's the franchisee for the Subway. He is scheduled for a public hearing review in April, and in meeting with the village staff this week, was happy to come in and introduce himself, introduce the concept, answer your questions, and get better prepared for the public hearing next month. So with that, I'd like to hand it to Mr. Patel.
Good evening. My name is Bhavik Patel. I currently own a Subway and a liquor store in Schaumburg. This is a new concept for Subway. They're introducing a new Metro decor, which is more upscale than a regular Subway. It has new laminated floors, as you can see in the pictures. No more wallpapers. It's all actual brick that they're going to put in there. This is a new concept. Right now in U.S., we have about 500 restaurants that are designed with this decor. In Chicago, we have about 25 new Subways that just opened up that has this decor. I think it would be a great fit because this is an upscale neighborhood, and it would give a good feel for a fast food restaurant. Along with the way it looks, it's gonna bring in a lot of customers.
Sorry, I went too fast there. And we also have a conceptual floor plan at this point. This is, again, just a concept. The front of the space, so facing Milwaukee Avenue, would be this general direction. These would be the restrooms in the rear. I believe I got the sides correct, right?
Correct.
And this conceptual layout has a projection of, I counted 34 seats on this.
Andrew, where did you say this is going to be?
This is the unit next to PostNet,
Oh, got it. Okay.
north of Spears Bourbon.
Got it.
So at this point, if the commission has any questions, any suggestions for Mr. Patel when he comes back, again, we're looking probably April 10th at this point. We should know within the next day or so, but we're looking April 10th would be the hearing. So anything that he can do to answer your questions now or better prepare for that hearing.
All right. Commissioner Darband.
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Zangara.
I definitely think the concept is a big upgrade.
It is.
Question I have, and I don't know this offhand, I probably should. What's the closest Subway to that area?
The closest one to the location that we're proposing is Wolf and Dundee.
Wolf and Dundee. Yeah. Now, would that both of them stay open?
Yes, that one would still be open. This location that I'm proposing is going to have extended hours. When I first take on, I'll be open from 7 in the morning to midnight for the first 6 months until I get the feel of the area, and then effective April 2015, we'll be open 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Because there really isn't any fast food restaurants in Wheeling that are open 24 hours.
Oh, it's nice with the hotel there, so.
Right, with Twin Peaks and Spears.
And are these restaurants, I'm assuming, Wi-Fi capable or?
Correct. So we will be providing free Wi-Fi to our guests as well. We will also install 2 televisions, one for the news, one for the game. This location that I'm proposing, it will really be upscale compared to a regular Subway.
And would you be planning any outdoor seating in this area?
I have asked the landlord. I would really love to build a patio, but I don't think at this point we have that option. Originally, I wanted to take the end unit, but I believe Dunkin' Donut has taken that spot, and they would like to build a drive-through with that. If I'm given an opportunity to make an outdoor patio, I would definitely do it.
And then I guess my last question, being close to the hotel, would you have I guess I'd call it a delivery service. If someone ordered from the hotel,
Correct.
would you?
Correct. So even at night, there are a few subways that are open 24/7 in Chicago area. At night, after 10 o'clock, they normally only have one person working. I will have minimum of 2 people at night so that we can deliver even at the middle of the night.
Okay. That's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really like the inside design that you're proposing. I think it will be absolutely perfect for that area. It will go beyond meeting the needs, I think, of the not only the hotel occupants, but the business owners in the neighborhood. I think you've done an excellent job
Thank you.
on the inside.
Thank you.
And
Along with that, we are putting multiple toasters. A lot of the stores only have one toaster. My current store has more than one toaster. The whole goal is to still have it as a fast food restaurant. So we would like to serve our customer from the minute they walk in to the out of the door within 5 minutes.
Andrew, do you know what the width of the sidewalk is in front of their building? Is there any room for a couple tables and chairs if the landlord could be convinced to allow some outdoor seating? Are you going to be immediately adjacent to Dunkin' Donuts?
I don't believe so. I'm not sure if they've taken both of the AND stores. I'm right next to PostNet, and I believe there will be one other store before Dunkin' Donut.
Because that would be nice. You might be able to combine
Correct.
eating areas, but
It's actually, I believe we're talking about this unit, but the width of the sidewalk varies. As you can see, there's planting beds. This width from the planting bed over, I think, is about 8 still. So even in those areas, you'd probably be able to do a 2-seater
Okay.
right up against the building.
And that doesn't, I mean, we kind of encourage outdoor seating. We don't charge more for parking
Right.
or whatever. We'd like to see it. And I just think that, the burgers and bourbon place is going to have outdoor stuff. I just think it would be a nice character of the area to, try and twist the landlord's arm a little bit.
In fact, I actually spoke to landlord this morning, and he is okay with me putting chairs out there. So I wasn't sure if I had to get a special permit from the village for that, but he said go for it. I've already looked up patio furniture for Subway online, so we will definitely be doing that.
Excellent.
So when you, just procedurally, when you come in for your special use review, I think it's worth noting, see if your architect can expand the floor plan out, show where the exterior wall is, show where the curb is. So the issue for us is really dimensions. Can you fit tables in and still provide a minimum 5 foot of clearance around the front? So,
and maybe where a garbage can might go and stuff like that.
it's like there's one right here, actually. But yeah, see if your architect can add the outdoor area to the plan, provided the landlord, of course, is okay with that.
Now, the one problem that I do have, though, is the traditional Subway sign. You've stated this is a new concept, it's upscale, you're going to be going all night long. I think you need a sign that is commensurate with your new design, 24-hour operation, whatever. I'd like to see something a little bit different, than the traditional Subway sign that you see all over the place. add something to it that just gives it your flair, if you will. And if you can do that, I know, we probably won't discuss signage at the forthcoming meeting, but just keep that in the back of your mind that I am going to want to see a better than the normal standard subway sign. But I wish you the best of luck. I don't think you'll need it in this case. I think.
Right. We did discuss this with Subway headquarters to see if we can add even word cafe to it or something different that kind of differentiates the restaurant.
Right.
We were denied. So we will be keeping the Subway logo, but right where the glass doors are on the top, we will be putting neon signs that says Subway. We'll be putting 3 of them right next to each other.
Oh, you might have hurt
So
yourself
you better go back and tell corporate headquarters that this first-class, excellent location that is going to make tons of money for them is in jeopardy because they want a little bit classier sign.
Okay.
See if they, I guess one suggestion I would have for that is within the same logo, they may have had an issue with the word cafe, but within the same logo, the same style, they may have a sign package. Some locations restrict signs to colors. Places like Subway occasionally will do a backlit brushed metal sign, something that is, they may have in their portfolio of signage a already designed sign for those locations that have a sign restriction. So I would ask them that. Changing the name, they may have an issue with it, but they may have a style that does something like a backlit with a brushed metal or something like that.
A little more upscale.
That would distinguish you from the typical Subway.
Yep, exactly.
Something along, one other quick question I had, we were thinking about putting a fireplace inside the restaurant. I know it will be way too classy, I believe, but do we need to have special permit for that?
It's a building permit. I think if you can have the floor plan note that, just so our fire department, I'm sure will have some requirements related to that, not just any open fire pit is going to be allowed indoors. So.
Most likely it will be electronic, just the way it looks, just to give that warm feeling.
There's no issue with a fire pit. They're in many not Subways, but there are certainly fireplaces around.
I just want to know where the switch on-off switches are.
Yeah, especially if it's electronic.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers.
Thanks. I had the same comment as Commissioner Stylen about the sign, because I know when you went before the board, they had a concern. They didn't want to see the Subway. They wanted it to be called something different. So it sounds to me like you made the effort to actually go to corporate and talk to them. Again, I would just plead with you to see if there's something you can, do different with the sign, because it's not an ordinary Subway. It's pretty much a step way above that. So if there's anything you could do to enhance that, so people say, well, that's a sign I've never seen before, and they go in there and say, wow, this is totally different, and who knows, you may be setting a precedent for somebody else. So that's all I had.
All right, thank you. Likewise for me on the sign, and definitely no neon in the windows. Don't want that. But yeah, I'm sure they must have some other more upscale locations where they've got classier looking signs. Is the menu exactly the same?
Correct. Menu and the prices will remain the same as if you were to walk into a regular Subway.
All right, I think that's all I had for now then, too.
Just an ancillary question. Will you have access to that big outdoor reader board TV thing that the hotel has on the entrance to the property? Will you get some kind of
I don't believe
space?
so. I actually do have a meeting with the Western Hotel manager in upcoming week, because that's one of the things I would like to discuss. It'd be a nice place to market my store. If not, I have contacted the billboard agency that's on Lake Cook Road. Before you get off on Milwaukee, we'll be using that space for 3 months. And instead of saying Subway now open, we'll be actually putting a picture of the interior because it's a lot different than regular Subway. So that's one of the marketing that I'll be doing.
Good. Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Anything else from the commission? Nope, I guess not. So, good luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll see
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
We'll see you next month.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other business, Mr. Jennings?
Oops, one too far there. No, I have nothing else, thank you.
Commissioner Dorban, any other business?
Actually, I just wanted to express the deepest sympathy to John Malenafy for the loss of his father and his uncle. All I have.
Commissioner Zangara?
I believe I don't have anything. It's nice to see some grass though, finally.
Even though it's not green.
Oh, there's some green stuff out there, even though it's fake, but at least we can start to see
Yeah.
those fields. But actually, I did have one thing. I brought it up earlier when talking. You know, all of us have these iPads, and our office had a meeting with Apple, and Apple has this thing called a Dropbox that they've come out with now. And this Dropbox is something where you sync it up with all of ours iPads, the village's iPads, and if someone's out taking pictures, it automatically uploads there, so no one would actually have to go and send out an email to everyone. Everything could always be filed in this Dropbox, and just wondering if it was something that we could look into. You know, even if someone does I want to even say spreadsheets, all PDFs, they could be uploaded right to this Dropbox. And instead of sending out an email and can't get it, it's right there. You go in, you pull it, and you can date folders per each week, just like anything else. It's just something to look into, something else. I know we all take pictures everywhere, and instead of passing them all out, once you take a picture from your it could be iPhone, iPad, it automatically will sync up with this Dropbox and go through. So
I actually had some experience with Dropbox at work, working on a project where another company put 1,700 photos in that Dropbox, and rather than having to send them to me, they just gave me the access to the Dropbox, and it worked great. I could pick and choose what I wanted to save. So it is kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, I've had an experience with Dropbox because we use it at the credit union, and it does work well.
There's two issues. One is just technology, making sure that IT is okay with it. The other issue is that anything that you have the ability to commonly access becomes an Open Meetings Act issue. Anything where you guys have the ability to communicate directly with one another, you have to
Yeah.
open. So I can double check, but we maybe could do it, but I'll have to just double check and make sure.
Probably have to be limitations on what we could use it for.
Yeah, there may be some.
it was just something that they
Yeah,
saw.
let me look into it. I haven't looked into it. I'm just kind of thinking of those are the two things. I think from a
You're right.
technology standpoint, we probably can. And I'll double check the Open Meetings Act side of
Okay.
it.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers?
Thanks. Who canceled Northgate Crossing? Was it the petitioner that canceled it?
Yes.
Okay, did they give any kind of a reason?
Yes. Well, sort of. It was a really long and involved set of plans that were submitted. The staff review raised a couple of questions. When they received the staff review, they went through and just wanted to make sure that everything was consistent. You actually don't have, I would say, maybe half of the materials that they submitted.
Okay.
We narrowed it down to the relevant items. So they're just, it's final PUD, so it's a significant approval, and they wanted to make sure that everything was 100% consistent across every.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd want to say is I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't come because, I mean, there was stuff I'd like to bring up that maybe somebody else hasn't thought about, and they can maybe take that stuff back and think about it too, because, if they come back here And then, they may be forced to go back again because they didn't hear, may hear something that we may think is significant, and they may have to go back and change it. So they risk the possibility of getting another continuance, so.
If you have, well, there's a difference between a question of correction, clarification, and then asking them to change something that's consistent with the preliminary approval already. So if there's new detail that's part of final that wasn't part of preliminary, and you have a clarification on it, you can always feel free to submit that to us, and we can, if it's of the nature that, given that they are not here tonight, if it's of the nature that while they're correcting something else, they could incorporate that. But if it's more of an open meeting question, it might be best to wait. So if you have a list of anything that you've written out, you can submit it to us, and we'll try to see if there's anything that they should go ahead and address at this point.
Okay. The next thing I have is with with Heritage Park being open up, I know, stormwater retention, I hear a lot of talk in the village board meetings about, stormwater retention on the north side of Dundee and how it's going to flow into Heritage Lake. But I don't necessarily understand how that's going to happen, who's going to be, how that stuff is, what properties are going to be allowed to pour into Heritage Lake. So I was wondering if I could get an education, maybe some of the other commissioners would want one, as to like a general idea of what's behind that, who's going to participate in that, and get a little bit of technical knowledge behind that, so when we get other people, other petitioners in here that come and say, well, I'm going to use the north part of Dundee, such as the nursing home, I'm sure they're going to feed in there, how that's all going to go about working. That would be helpful to me.
Why don't, one way we could do that is to have the village engineer, if the village engineer doesn't already have some sort of basic overview, I can ask him if he, the next meeting he's at, maybe he could, if we've got a meeting like tonight where he's in attendance for an item, but we still have some time, perhaps.
If there's, the next time he's in here, if he could take some time and, go through that, that would be helpful to me. The last thing is, I will not be here on the 27th, 2 weeks from today. That's it.
Commissioner Steilen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things, and they're all concerning North Gate. I got completely frustrated going through the iPad version of the docket, especially when it got to all these plans that were all over the place. I was zooming in, zooming out, changing to going back, zooming in, zooming out, and I just got really frustrated. So I printed all the big plans on 8.5 by 14 pieces of paper, but the printing is still way too small, and it was, in an inordinate number of plans. I was wondering, for that next go-round, Andrew, would it be possible to print out on, 11 or 14 by 11 by 14, I guess, is the next size paper, real paper plans for some of us that might have lousy vision? Because it just got too, and even this is too small.
I probably can't do, it would be 11 by 17, I think would be the same aspect ratio. But you'll need to remind me when we get there. It probably wouldn't be every sheet, but if there's if it's the landscape, if it's the main, the landscape submittal is 30-something pages. If there's 10 pages out of that, we can make.
Yeah, just the site plan related.
We can figure out some way to create a paper packet if there are those who want it.
Okay. And the other thing, Mary, I had to go back and look at the previous minutes on this operation from a year or more ago, whenever it was, and I want to tell you your minutes were accurate, right on the spot. Every recollection that I had, I was able to find in your minutes. And you know what? I think in all your minutes recently have really been really first class. So I never have the opportunity to thank you for doing a good job, but they were really, really great. And my last comment has to do with something that Commissioner Powers said. It was my number 2 question for Northgate tonight, and it had to do with the Heritage Park and the retention base, or the retention that Northgate kind of implied that they may be using, they might be using. And at last Monday's village board meeting, if I'm not mistaken, there was the other nursing home property that came up and said they were going to be using some of the Heritage Park retention. And some of the trustees asked, you know, how is it going to be controlled? And the village manager said, well, I think he said more or less, it's kind of up for grabs, first come, first served, and that the last guy in may not be able to get anything. And I would like to know specifically for Northgate Crossing, what is the percent of whatever you call it, water that they're going to be storing in Heritage Park? What percent of the total Heritage Park capacity is that going to be? And then how does their land mass equate to the other potential sharers along Dundee Road that want to use the same thing? So in essence, I want to come up with a plan to kind of allocate a fair share of all participants to the Heritage Park floodplain area. And maybe we need to say something to the fact that if one property owner wants to use more than his fair share, then he has to make some kind of arrangement with the last guy who isn't going to get anything. I mean, I think, you know, and possibly, you know, we need to have a workshop with the village board or something to make this. But I would like to know what percent Northgate is planning on using, what percent of the Heritage Park they're going to be using, and what percent their property mass is compared to the other potential property masses, so we can get an idea of, are they using a fair share or an unfair share? Is that possible to do at all?
You know, we can, it may not be exactly that format. So between the 2 questions that we have on the storm, how the regional stormwater management works, you know, this is something that we've looked at. We you know, each site has different needs. So it's not going to be necessarily a direct relationship between land area and need. It's impacted land area, how much floodplain, how much floodway, what the percentage of buildable area is. So I'm sure we can come up with some way to illustrate it. We can come up with some way to illustrate it, but I don't think that it's going to translate directly into a fair share type of an easy fair share percentage. I think that we can come up with something, but it may not be exactly that. I think both of those questions probably should be answered at the same time. Commissioner Powers' question, just from my limited knowledge of this, I know is a somewhat complicated question. The system works differently during different types of rain events. In between the 2 locations, there's a gate that functions differently, that's got a relationship to the height of the water, the depth of the water in Buffalo Creek. So different rain events function differently. Different properties are going to function differently as well. So it's the model that was done for this
was not the project engineer, it was not the village engineer, it wasn't the consulting engineer. It was a fourth engineer, has a specialized model of the stormwater system, and they were asked to rerun that model using the information from this particular development to confirm that it would function in each of those types of storm events. So the 3 inches of rain in an hour event versus the 10 inches of rain in 10 hours event. So all that to say that our village engineer should be able to come in and explain that. The question of how to divvy it up ultimately is because there is a finite amount of village stormwater capacity in that area. There's some in the lake, some in the basin F, I believe, on Wolf Road, and some amount in another basin next to St. Joe's. So I believe the village does have access to those. It is a finite volume of water, and it's in some ways a question of the TIF district as well. To what extent does this off-site capacity help a particular development that would not otherwise be built, get built? So it's not going to be the relationship isn't going to be as clean, but at least having an understanding of how it works, I think we can probably come up with something.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, we've got two entities that seemingly want to use some of that capacity, and there probably is a third guy. I just want to make sure that the third guy has something left.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it. Mary, thanks again.
Let's see, that's everybody? Okay. I don't think I have anything myself, so do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.